become bodiless, and realize self. Be aligned with your consciousness without taking help of the mind. The implied meaning of I am is I am Brahman. The consciousness in the body says that it is Brahman. It is in the body, but it is not the body. The meaning of the inner sound, I am Brahman. We must know the origin of this consciousness. One who has a body but knows that it is not one's form becomes calm and quiet. The people stand in long queues to take blessings of such a great one. You must have conviction about what you are in reality. There is no question of any probability here. The self-realization removes your entire search for profits. Your consciousness is the form of God. Just as you believed that body was your form, now believe that you are God itself. Once you have self-knowledge, all your inquiry will end and people will come seeking your advice. In meditation, you will be totally free of thoughts. This state is termed samadhi. When there is conviction that consciousness is the form of all gods, one becomes omnipresent. Never forget that your consciousness is the proof that Ishvara is. Without your consciousness, who will confirm the existence or non-existence of God? At some time you must develop the conviction that your consciousness itself is God's form. Once you realize it, there will be no need to come here again. It is the inner God itself who is making use of the intellect to understand. In this world you may get anything, but not the self, as you are already that. In case you have any difficulties in your spiritual endeavor, remember the mantra round the clock or meet your guru. I don't recommend anything else. Those who realize the self are very few, and real gurus who explain clearly are rare to meet. One has to follow the teachings of Vedas until one realizes that one is bodiless and one's nature is Atman. After this realization, all hopes, desires, and cravings become calm and quiet, and no duties remain. All activities happen spontaneously, but as there is no individual to suffer, nothing good or bad can happen. In the first stage, consciousness, which is the quality of food sattva, is important. In the final stage, one goes beyond consciousness. The consciousness of a jnani occupies the entire universe. What is a dreadful death? For all is blissful for a jnani. When you try to achieve something very great, the danger involved is also equally great. One should be prepared even for death. When identification with body goes, the self doesn't remain hidden. For getting a hidden treasure, you have to remove the serpent or ghost guarding it. Similarly, without getting rid of the body identity, there is no self-realization. Our consciousness finally merges into a jnani or paramatman. It is great. It is free, and it has come uninvited without any effort from our side. It is a riddle and troublesome, if not solved. The manifestation is due to the 5 elements. Hence, the activities happen, but without any individuality. If a disciple believes the guru as the body, the problems of the body remain for the disciple. If the guru is all-pervasive, the disciple also becomes like that. In deep sleep, a king forgets to be a king. Whatever information you receive, you are never the information but its knower. And the jnani doesn't have the waking and sleep states. You You like spirituality, but you are worried about your relatives and friends, which must stop. Untitled is beyond me and mine. Untitled is not his body, but he becomes one with the universe and controls it. Krishna calls that power his yoga power, O Yoga Maya. You worship God and Guru, but without knowing the original cause of worship. As you believe body as your form, there is a possibility of appearing in the body again and again. Try to separate the consciousness from the body and be without name. Your consciousness is the expression of Paramatman. What is the proof that Brahman is the truth? The proof is your consciousness. The sin and merit are applicable to the body identity. If you try to earn religious merit, a little sin is bound to happen. Will you agree that even in pure rich food some filth is present? Whatever you may eat is not the excretion filthy? Why is the consciousness due to that which we can see, but it cannot be seen? Why? Because it is all one only. And for seeing, duality is necessary. Due to consciousness, there is knowingness. Give attention to it at least for a moment daily. The knowingness has appeared unknowingly, but now you are conscious of it. That is the first eminent personage. We like to be alive, but in order to be comfortable, we have to forget everything frequently by sleeping. The repetition of mantra or meditation should be done by becoming one with God. The separation between the two should vanish. Any effort on your side may take you away from what is natural. Hence, what is really easy may become very difficult. Without trying to reach Ishvara, worship your own consciousness. You get real rest only when the mind becomes quiet. When mind vanishes, there is samadhi. The primary illusion is responsible for our consciousness, due to which we experience excessive strife. But it will be an experience of bliss for those who obey the Guru's command. You are pure Parabrahman. For no reason people become unhappy. For their benefit, Krishna equates time to a poisonous serpent. Just as a snake bite kills, time also slowly leads to one's death. The people don't understand what time is and what its poison is. Just as a child doesn't know the difference between a man and a woman until it becomes an adult, spirituality also demands real maturity. The choices of people go on changing with time, but the love for sense objects means tasting poison. None has inner contentment. Uddhava says, without Krishna's grace, the real nature of time cannot be understood. None of the worldly people has any experience of painless happiness. It is because they have not gone deeper into time and found its true nature. I don't suggest that you should give up this mundane existence or refrain from accepting anything. One has only to know the secret character of time. Only listen to this talk, remember it, and try to be in your most natural state. Never try to resolve this problem. The effect of listening itself will be as needed. You will come to know that the listener is not like the body or like prana or the mind. I am not telling you anything which will please you, but only facts which you should know. As long as you don't see yourself clearly, my talk will be bitter, sour, or astringent to you. Your body identity will not enjoy the talk. A fully developed or open man is equal to God. As mentioned earlier, you are without the body and its name. Always remember that you exist without name and form. You are the consciousness in the body. All the four bodies have been described. They are the gross body, the subtle body. They are the gross body, the subtle mind. The third is consciousness, which is the cause, and the great cause is Atman. The knower of the great causal body is untouched by it. The knower of this fact is a rare one. Ignorance about the great causal body results in the fear of death. In reality, it is the death itself which has to fear. By nature, you are separate from all the four bodies and untouched by them. Remember what you have listened to and meditate upon it. There is no need to do anything else. You are pure Parabrahman or Paramatman, and without experience of any bodies. But at present, you are alive with full confidence in your body. All experiences are seasonal, changing, and are like guests. There is presence of all these three, consciousness, waking, and sleep. Is there any physical existence in the absence of waking sleep? A sage has said, I have seen my own death while I am fully alive. Is it not a great gain? The concept of being a man or a woman is no more. One has remained only a witness. But there is no question of age, color, and size. Beyond the fourth body there is neither light nor darkness, but only the eternal Paramatman. In order to transform this verbal knowledge of yours into a reality, repeat the Jayaguru mantra. Or if you are fortunate to have received the Mahavatya mantra from your guru, repeat it continuously until you go to sleep. Your consciousness is like a telescope with which you can see everything in and out. Your true nature is the user of that telescope. From your mind are originating circles or rings of practical importance and also of the power of consciousness. We see many instances of absence of worldly passion without self-realization. If you go closer, you will only see wild ego and no greatness there. As long as you have hopes of your well-being in the future, you are still in bondage. In reality, you are beyond consciousness, and you cannot have self-consciousness. The knower of I amness goes beyond it. Just as your own holiness goes on increasing, there will be no place for hopes and cravings. Their absence indicates full contentment. One who is full of hopes, desires, and craving is really in the grip of time and controlled by it. Make the best use of your visit here by knowing the origin of consciousness. There was a time when you were not conscious of your existence. Presently, too, your true nature is the same and also hereafter. Without true knowledge, the fear of time leading to death will remain. The easiest way is to repeat Jaya Guru, so that your final moments will be without fear. Consciousness means the whole universe. Who are born? Are they births of animals? Are not all births those of consciousness itself? Can your consciousness exist without food material? The scientists are making use of their consciousness to invent new things. They are studying creation of human beings from human body cells. Will they be able to create the same from the food juices that humans eat? In the cooked food, a sense of being is present. In order to sustain life, regular supply of food and water is a must. You must have direct knowledge about how the 5 elements and the 3 qualities originate from consciousness. consciousness means the whole universe. In consciousness, there are millions and millions of universes. What identity do you have which can die? You must listen to this talk with utmost attention, just as you would while getting information about your pay hike. Don't worry if you are unable to understand what is told here. When you eat your food, you don't know how it gets digested and how it becomes a part of the body. Similarly, even if you don't understand my words, there is something in you that understands and that is identical to me and has the capacity to understand. The true listener inside is godlike and always alert. When we know we are, there is existence of everything else. We cannot exactly say who is the seer, but he alone exists and sees himself in all existence. There is no seeing in non-duality, but only in duality. In non-duality, we are not conscious of ourselves. Consciousness is a must for knowing our presence, but it cannot remain permanently. The mental impressions on the body can go by worship, and what remains is pure consciousness. Identification with the body limits one to form, and one has a feeling of I amness. You are going to understand what your nature was prior to the appearance of consciousness. Then there will be no I amness for you, and you will be unaffected by good or bad. I explain this rare self-knowledge to you without any difficulty, although you try to hear it as an individual. While talking to you, I don't consider you as a human being, but I talk to the reality, which is my own self in you. How will you store this knowledge? Hold it in your consciousness. If you see yourself fighting in a dream, nothing has really happened, but you say you had a fight. Similarly, in your normal activities, it is all a spontaneous happening and not your action. All births and deaths are false. Your intellect doesn't have the capacity to understand and accept these facts due to your body identification. What is pure and clear appears to have become cloudy. Normally, your own sight distorts the scenes that you see, but all appearances are short-lived. Just as all lights are temporary, this light of consciousness is like that too. Be sure that whatever knowledge you receive here will definitely do its desired work. You may believe yourself to be very insignificant, like an ant or a worm, but the listener in you is going to become pure by listening without your knowledge. One of our scriptures is Rig Veda, which I call a Veda of sickness. The appearance of the world is to supply water and medicines to the sick. In order to have clear understanding, continue repetition of the mantra attentively. Some people are very proud of their hearsay worldly knowledge. Then how to be really free of all worldly troubles? A sage says, nothing happened by chanting the mantra and doing penance. But when the inconceivable and unstained Satguru met me in a flash, he freed me from all difficulties and problems. Prana pulsation comes first, then beingness. I don't tell you anything to increase your body identity, but only to wake you up. You are not separate from the world you see. All the activities in the world happen due to the 5 elements. The food juices which are due to the 5 elements are responsible for the creation of all living beings. Prior to the appearance of the human body, there was creation of many other living forms. the first of which was a plant. We are all alive due to vegetable juices. Whatever happens in the space and the atmosphere comes down and joins the earth. From there it enters the various plants and grains, and then into the various living beings. All living beings have consciousness, which is sustained by the food juices or sattva. This knowledge is only for your information and not for trying to find any solution. The pulsation of prana happens first, followed by our consciousness or beingness. From the pulsation of prana, certain sounds or words originate, which are called our mind. The utterings of your mind control all your activities. What you think yourself to be is restricted to you as an individual. You come to know. You are, and you love to exist. That is the main love in this world. All our activities happen due to our love to exist. Only a rare one observes that when one cannot be the food material, one cannot also be the consciousness, which is the quality of food material sattva. There was the eternal truth before hearing any sound or word. With the appearance of sound, there was also the beingness to hear it. The eternal is without a word. But with word appeared the Brahman. The mind is your bondage. It keeps an account of all your activities and goes on assigning meaning to it. That gives strength to your individuality and ignorance. It is mind's work to fear death and imagine heaven. We should be able to separate ourselves from the mind and get established as consciousness. Then it will be clear that there is no death. For meditation, one must have spare time. There is meditation when the mind gets dropped. Try to be aloof by showing no concern to everything that appears in consciousness. Just as in sleep, there are no needs. After realizing the manifested, there is freedom from all needs, including that of the unmanifested. The knowers of consciousness are called as Swami or Maharaj and worshipped by people. There are many who worship gods, but only a rare one worships Atman. We are one with Atman, and in non-duality we are unconcerned with others. To follow the Guru's command, meditate on your consciousness. We imagine ourselves to be like this or like that, which results in unhappiness. Meditation is to suppress the I am experience. Meditation helps you to realize the self. All other systems and methods are deviations into other subjects of interest. The state of Atman is firm and steady. All our subjects are in the unsteady mind only. If one has no mind, how can one have interest in any subject? All your actions throughout your life belong to your mind. I will say that all your words are correct. The only problem is being you alone. All our hopes, desires, and cravings are like hunger. The main question is why and how you became conscious of your existence. How did you become aware of your existence? Was it spontaneous, or did someone have to tell you that? Because you come to know you are, all your comparisons of small, big, and about the existence of Ishvara begin. Is it difficult to be with what is true? It may be difficult to digest untruth. All our troubles are due to our imagining ourselves to be that which we are not. What we think ourselves to be is not true. To generalize, all our worldly knowledge also keeps on changing. There is no honesty in it. Those Mahatmas who are no more, they are not aware of their existence now. You only remember them occasionally. There are millions and millions of people roaming about here and there. Do they know what they are in reality? Only a jnani knows these facts. After self-knowledge, you will lose interest in all, as if nothing exists. There will be no moon, no sun, and no stars for you. The same is expressed by a sage as the light of a million suns merges and vanishes in your light. All your activities are possible due to the energy received from the food that you eat. It means you are able to talk now due to the food juices consumed by you in the past. In other words, your talk means the talk of the food juices. If there is no sattva, there cannot be a sense of being. The rajas quality is full of activity, and claiming to be the doer is due to tamas. The rajas and tamas qualities are due to sattva, which is responsible for consciousness. When sattva was absent, I did not know of my existence. Meditation is to suppress our I am experience. Everything is supported by concepts. With passing time, the definitions of spirituality will change. Many big temples will be converted into warehouses. Your existence as consciousness is first, due to which you know your body. This will remove the importance of body and your identification with it. Despite all these things, Brahman is full in all respects. For me, there is no question of welfare or any bad happening. You always hope for good and fear the bad. Whatever you hear now may not be understood by you, but the same will definitely have the desired effect in due course. The knowledge of Brahman is never wasted, although it may take some time to have its effect. For the existence of self-interest, there must be existence of the self. If there is no somebody at all, how can self-interest remain? Hence, there is no self-interest here. If one has a form, there is presence of self and also self-interest. Are waking and sleep dependent upon you? Can you go to sleep or wake up any time you like? What do you take yourself to be and behave? You must see yourself clearly, as long as there is your body. In this world, we talk of God realization, but in reality, it is self-realization. Who knows the meaning of our words other than we ourselves? The body is not your real form. Because of your consciousness, you come to know your body, which means because of mind, you feel presence of your body. And your consciousness is the quality of sattva, and that is not you. We have got separated from our true self, and yoga is to become one again by meditation. The final state is beyond yoga. The consciousness in the body itself is called the knowledge you are, Atman, God, etc. But it is the quality of sattva. When we talk of your birth, it is really the birth of this world. And it is not a new world, but is the old ancient world. Your feeling of waking and the appearance of the world are simultaneous. You will know this properly only after self-realization. Continue your normal activities as you like, but don't live as a body. You must live as Atman. Consciousness is formless. It is said that Krishna's devotees or gopis were 16,000 in number. They indicate mental modifications. Once the attention is fixed on Krishna or the consciousness, there is no going backwards. Who is Krishna? It is our inner self-love or consciousness. The activities happen due to mental modifications or the course of conduct. It is also called as mind. One whose attention is fixed on the inner Gana Shayama is least concerned with receiving any respect or honor from people. The forms of God in the world are not two. Because of identification with the body, one is called as an individual soul. Your consciousness is the proof that God is. Also, God is responsible for the existence of your consciousness. This is the reality which is unchangeable. Your consciousness is the quality of the food juices. Let your consciousness be aware of its unity with God's form. In other words, there is God in every drop of food juices. The speech or words originate from prana. Your consciousness is formless, hence you give up your habit of knowing its future. In the body, God is present in His full form and not in parts. There is no God other than your consciousness. Do your worldly activities as you like, as there is no sin in it. The only sin is to identify with the body. You are the reality and nothing else. Sri Krishna says, I myself exist in the form of this world. He had the strength of conviction. When there is our consciousness, along with it the individual soul, the world, and Brahman are also present. In the absence of consciousness, there is nothing. A true devotee of a guru does not need any advice from others. On the other hand, people come to him for advice. The words flow from prana. God appears as the world, as that is His form. Your consciousness is a proof that God exists. He is in you as your consciousness, which has appeared in you without any action of yours. It is indivisible or has no death, but your body identity makes a jiva or an individual soul. Your consciousness is a quality of your food body, and you have to eat to continue your existence in the body. Have firm faith that you are not jiva, but God. God is also in the food that we eat for our sustenance. Our words flow from prana as that is its speech. You are not the body, which is the food of the formless consciousness. The prediction of the past and future apply to your body and not to you, as you are not your food. It is in your interest to forget what is false. In your body, God resides, who is deathless and indivisible. There is no God other than our consciousness. Your actions don't affect you, but do them as required. Your identifying with the body is the only problem. The Sanskrit word for principle is tattva, meaning tat, that. Va, tva, you. In short, you are that, the Absolute. You are not limited to your small body, but you are everything that exists. Krishna has said the same as I alone appear as the world. One needs great confidence in order to make that statement, and Krishna had that conviction. Our consciousness appears as jiva, world, and Brahman. In its absence, there is nothing. A true devotee of a guru seeks advice from none. Others who need guidance come to him. Self cannot be seen. For curing sickness of the body, sattva, there is use of medicines. There is also use of food and water for sustaining consciousness. We are alive because we draw our requirements from the body's sattva with or without using our mouth or tongue. There must be presence of the nirguna because of the presence of saguna. Otherwise, nirguna cannot be inferred. A true yogi is unaffected by the various happenings during his lifetime. As a jnani is not his body, you cannot notice any pain or pleasure on his face. There is no profit loss for jnani. A sage is a true and complete yogi, which the other yogis are not. A yogi knows his lifetime as a season, and he is unaffected by whatever happens during that season. For a normal yogi, there is no need of company of a woman for his downfall, as even the company of concepts can serve that purpose. A true yogi is free of concepts, including that of I am. As long as you are awake, you are involved in concepts. Even then, irrespective of one's stature, people have to consult one another before doing anything. Our concepts always remain, despite our efforts to be free of them. What is important is to know the origin of beingness, why and how it has appeared. The knower of the source of all concepts is beyond all concepts. Your body can drop off at any moment. Hence, know yourself at the earliest. Listen carefully and decide what is of importance to you, which is worth giving attention to. Soham Hamsa and Hari Om are important mantras, by repeating which the self can be realized. One who has full knowledge of the self becomes cool like the moon. The most natural state, which is free of any action, is the true self. That state is beyond the intellect and free of all concepts. One is naturally in that state after self-realization. You can always see without seeing, with your eyes closed, the deep blue shade which is very natural. It is formless. The self cannot be seen. It is our direct perception of our being. With closed eyes, you see the dark blue canopy over the self. There are various objects apprehensible by the senses and mind. Many a time you remember this or that and want this or that. All your requirements originate in your mind. A sage is full of contentment, and his mere company gives contentment to others. When you know the incompleteness of things, there is absence of worldly passion or desire. When the mind rejects something, there is no more liking for it. When there is only outer disinterest but inner liking, the state is quite different. With self-realization, one separates from the body as not one's form. Then there is no experience of death. He is no more the body and not even a human being. Whatever you know cannot be the self but different from it. There is no knowing in unity. Hence our true self cannot be the known. To identify with consciousness is to be separate from the body. Then one is untouched by the duality of pain and pleasure. The dark blue shade seen with closed eyes is natural and effortless. Until there is self-realization, your hopes, desires, and cravings remain. Therefore, thereafter, they have no customer. The I amness was a customer, which is then no more. Self-realization is readily available, but it is impossible without total devotion to the Guru. His blessings are a must.